Hi, I'm going to try this. I don't know where this is broadcasting to, but there's some things that I've been wanting to talk about, and one of them is why I don't knit, why I don't like knitting. And part of that is because it's not quick enough for me. I'm slow and deliberate, and it's just too slow for me. So I choose not to. The other thing is we tend to blame ourselves. I used to own a yarn shop. I'm a good knitter, an excellent knitter, actually. But like I said, I just don't like doing it. And I've knit sweaters for myself that because I'm big, I think that they should be big, but what I knit is huge, way too big. So um, I think we blame ourselves. Like if we have a pattern and we're working on it and we're going along really good and we don't understand something and we look at it a couple times and it just doesn't make sense to you. You might be right. You might be right and the pattern can be wrong. There's bad patterns out there, and not that they intended for them to be, but you can have knitters that are proof knitting them, and they're too good at knitters. They just know what to do, and so they auto correct the pattern. I would be a good proof knitter if I chose to, because I have to read everything so I understand it. The other thing is, when you get a knitting pattern, read through it. Okay, first let's back up to first. I used to sew a lot. I sewed a lot of my clothes because I had huge boobs and I couldn't buy tops that fit decent. And I had taken a lot of sewing classes, pattern making, things like that. And what they taught me is that when you look at a pattern, and I had some pictures, but if I showed them, I'm showing the person that made them in a bad light. And I wouldn't want to do that to anybody because people work hard for what they do. And the thing is, if you see someone and they're in an awkward, like they got their arm back like this and their shoulder, and they're twisted, chances are something isn't right with that fit. And knitting is a little more forgiving, but even at that, if you don't see the cuffs on a sleeve, something isn't right. If the arms are hidden, like if they're standing sideways and only showing one view, make sure when you pick a pattern that you check to make sure that they have everything showing, front, back, side, and no clips in the back. I mean, that's okay for models when they're modeling clothing that they're selling. Somebody woke up and has to stroll around on the floor. So just look at the picture and study the picture. And if the picture doesn't, if something isn't right, it probably isn't right. Then check the errata, ERRATO, I believe, or ADO, errata. I think it's EARRATA, something like that. And on Ravelry, they will put it right on their pattern. I mean, people make mistakes. It's fine. But when you buy a pattern, or even if you get a free pattern and you're trying to do it and it just isn't working, and I think that's why so many people make scarves, hats, because they don't have to worry about fit. Hats kind of, but it'll fit somebody. But scarves and things like that, you don't have to worry about it fitting. Fitting us a pattern is not an easy task. And one other thing I learned, like in sewing patterns, fat people's shoulders are where thin people's shoulders are. Maybe frames are different, so you might have a size 0 person and a size 20 person, but you don't just cut down the middle and add 4 inches. That makes everything fit horribly. The neckline, everything will fit ill. So, and that's what companies were doing. I know when I was buying Calvin Klein jeans a long time ago, um, I could fit in a size 10, 11 if I tried on 20 pair of jeans, because the jeans on the top or the bottom, they saw they're like a foot high of jean denim material, and they put the pattern on the top, and they align the top. They saw through all this denim. So if that saws off just a hair, the bottom jeans are bigger or smaller. If it's off the other way, they're smaller. So you try enough, you're going to find one that fits. So because back then size mattered, now I don't care. But back then it was like, ooh, look at me, I can get in these jeans. I can't breathe, but I can get in these jeans. So I just wanted to say about knitting patterns, though, that I've been watching someone struggling with this pattern, and I said it's not a good pattern. The picture isn't even good. So they knit, they rip, they knit, they rip, they knit, they rip, they knit, they rip. And that just gets frustrating. I mean, yeah, knitting is liberating, but it's also frustrating if you can't figure out what you're doing wrong or what is wrong with it. So a lot of times it's good to do a pattern that somebody else has done, because then you know that it's been proof knit. And don't blame yourself right away. We do the same thing with computers. When our computer isn't working right, we're like, what am I doing? I did something. And I think that's from our kids saying, nah, what did you do? So I'm a firm believer in it may not be your problem. It really might not be your problem. Sometimes it is, and then that's different. But I don't know. I don't worry about that stuff. But that's why I don't like knitting. I like knitting toddler sweaters, baby sweaters, because they're quick. But it hurts my hands. I have that thumb thing, old people get right here and here. And I save my hands for spinning. Spinning to me is my love, and I don't want to give that up. So I take real good care of my hands. Try to. So on that note, that was what I wanted to say about knitting patterns, is just watch what you're getting, and it may not be you, it might be the pattern. Choose. Oh, I remember making a sweater from Family Circle. No, yeah, Family Circle. One of those magazines. And it was horrible. I have it somewhere, actually. It was huge. I wasn't huge then. It might fit me now. No, that wasn't the issue. It was the raglan sleeve, the decreases. I have the front and I believe the back made. And then I was working on the sleeves. The sleeves nowhere matched up to the increases and decreases on the body. So it's horrible. And I suppose if I took time, I could fix it. But, once something is that bad, you don't want to. So I think I'm going to make a pillow out of it, just big enough for front and back. But I knit on that thing, and I bet you it's old. It's probably 30 years ago I did it. And I bet you I spent $200 on the yarn. It was horrible. A beautiful sweater on the model, but when I tried to make it, it was just, like I said, the raglans didn't line up to the decreases on the body. And those are things you have to look at. But I just wanted to say it might not be your fault. That's the biggest part, is it. Have someone else look at it too. I made these socks a long time ago. Skacel put them out, booby socks. And every time I knit socks on 2 needles, I do the magic loop. And every time I got to one side, it was a mistake. And I just kept doing it and doing the same thing over again. And I kept ripping it back. Well, the pattern, there must not have been, I don't remember what it was exactly, but there must not have been like a comma there. So I did something twice and it threw off the whole thing. So once I had to have someone else look at it. I go, I don't know what to do. I keep looking at this pattern and I'm reading the same thing, because we get something in our head and we keep seeing the same thing. It's like editing your own typing or writing. You look at it and you're the one who wrote it, so you don't see what you did exactly wrong because you wrote it. And then it takes another set of eyes to look at it and go, right there's your mistake. It's just right there. So, But I just wanted to tell you about knitting patterns. Really, you know, and knitting a swatch doesn't always give you what you need either. I don't think it does. Not that I'm not a huge swatch knitter, but when I did, I'd come out with the right gauge, and it's still. I've got a sweater vest that I worked on, and it's another thing. It's huge, and a friend wrote the pattern up for me. She said, according to her pattern, she put in all the numbers and stuff, and this is what it came up with. It would fit. It would be one of those angry kid sweaters where you put two kids in one sweater or a shirt, and put two kids and then let them work it out. So it's that big. It was really big. So I call it my under the bed stuff, where anything that doesn't turn out right away, I throw it under the bed and then take it out later. And maybe it's good enough to save. Maybe it just gets sixed, throw it in the garbage. So, okay, well, I just wanted to talk about that, and, you know, be aware when you're looking at a pattern that they're standing in a normal stance and not doing aerobics in the sweater or bending over, you know, look for a natural pose, I guess is what I want to say, not something where they're doing aerobics. So, okay, thanks. Have a good day. Bye.